Hey YouTube, welcome back to All Things Video Games. Today we're going to talk about the launch of the Switch. Greg went for the midnight release and he actually took a few days off to do nothing but play video games.
Switch video games.
Well, yeah, Switch game.
Very specifically.
Actually, The Legend of Zelda is probably all you're going to be playing.
Well, sort of, yeah. I actually got Horizon Zero Dawn just before Switch came out because I knew after spending like $600-700 on Switch, there's no way I'm buying a game for a while. So I was like, well, I'll just squeeze that one in there really quick, and then that way at least I'm covered for a while.
Well, while you spent all that money on the Switch, I bought Resident Evil 7, and that's what I'll be playing. Although
Yeah.
I do plan to pick up Zelda for the Wii U probably in about a week or two.
And just to get that out of the way real quick, I went and did the first little bit of that game on the Wii U version. Because I have that too for viewers. I got that yesterday as well. So I double dipped, got both Zeldas. And the Wii U version is... It's indistinguishable, pretty much. If you want to see the nitty-gritty technical little details, Digital Foundry just launched a video today detailing the technical differences between the two. They're almost non-existent. Like, yeah, it technically runs at 900p when docked on the Switch versus 720 on the Wii U. But it's 720 on the game or on the Switch tablet. So, like when it's undocked, it's the same exact version as the Wii U game.
Well, that's pretty good, though.
And the game does suffer some frame rate drops here and there. But I guess I don't remember what Digital Foundry said. I think they said it was like some kind of filtering, like bilinear filtering or something, was used on one of the versions. And I believe it was the Wii U. And it's like, I didn't even notice until I watched that video and they pointed it out, and it's like, it's very, very minor. It's just basically stuff getting blurry as it gets farther away.
Well, in my opinion, that's how it should be.
Yeah, it is. And it's like such a small minor thing. It doesn't really matter. And as far as frame rates go, they are pretty much the same on both systems. The only difference is that they tend to drop at different places. Like, it's weird. Like, on one version, you might be running through, like, a grassy area, and it'll kind of drop for a second, and then it'll go back up to 30. Because 30 frames is the mark we're aiming for. Because it is a huge open-world game, and super detailed. It's not quite like Witcher 3 detailed, but is really detailed. And if he, poor Mike, he has no idea. He has no freaking idea. Like, you cannot watch a trailer for that game and get an idea what it actually looks like. Because when you see it, it's just like, wow, holy shit. And the fact that they pulled it off on the Wii U is like, it's a testament to how good they are with that hardware. But yeah, they both just drop frame rates at different spots. It never goes below 20, but it's weird. It has like a weird thing where, say you run into a heavily populated area, whether it's like a fancy weather effect combined with grass or something, or just a big mob of enemies. It'll drop, but it almost locks to either 20 or 30. So it doesn't.
Well, from what I saw, Digital Foundry, when they were doing a test between the tablet version and then when you hooked it up to the TV, when it would drop, it would lock to that dropped frame. So like if it, let's say, went to 24,
Yeah.
it'll stay at 24 until everything stabilizes, then it'll bring it back up. Which I don't know if that's a technical thing that they thought, hey, this would actually make it easier for playability, or if that's just kind of,
Yeah,
by coincidence.
it definitely does that. It's not bad. Like, for my best comparison is actually a PS4 game, ironically enough. Not to hate on PS4, but let's be honest. The whole 60 frames per second in every game thing is unrealistic. We've said that before. It's not going to happen.
Personally, I kind of think if developers were to go the route of, say, Peter Jackson with movies and doing 48 frames per second, that to me is smooth enough, because our eyes only see at a certain refresh rate, and 48, if it's consistent and it's locked in at 48, I don't know, honestly, if you would really see much of a difference. Some people probably will, people's eyes are better than others, but on average, I think 48 is probably pretty damn good. So if I were to develop a game, that's probably what I would shoot for instead of 60.
Put it this way, television shows are shot at 30 frames per second typically because it saves on bandwidth. And
29.9.
Yep. And to me, it's like, if they can maintain 30, I'm not going to complain. Sure, the more the better, but if it's 30 stable, we're good. When it starts going below that, you start to see it a lot. And it can be problematic if it's not well handled. And in Zelda, it's well handled. Just like in Final Fantasy 15. It does drop in that game too, just like in Zelda. But again, it's a huge open world with a lot of stuff going on. In fact, I would say there's a lot more going on in Zelda than there is in Final Fantasy 15 in terms of the world. So, but yeah, we can save Zelda for after we talk about the system a bit, because I'm sure that's what we're needing to do first.
Yeah. So, how was the launch? Like, where'd you go?
I went to Best Buy. It was in Des Moines in Iowa, so bigger city, but not huge, not like Chicago or anything like that, but it's the biggest city nearby, and that's where our Capitol building is and everything, so it's not like a small city. And I chose to go there specifically to see if there would be a crowd, because I knew if I went to...
Was there?
There was. About 40 to 50 people online when I got there at 11. Or 10:30 or 11, something like that. And funny thing, as soon as I went to get out of the car to see if I could go talk to some of them for the channel, the employees at the store were starting to hand out like tickets, basically. To
your line voucher,
so that nobody had to stand in the cold anymore. So pretty much as soon as I got out of the vehicle, everybody was dispersing back to their cars. And it was like, well, shit. So, no footage, sorry. But it was still interesting. I kind of felt like a bad parent in a way because I took Zelda, but I had to take her. That's my daughter for the viewers out there. I named her Zelda. And it's like I had to take her. This is the first console launch, first Zelda game launch since she was born. She had to be part of it. So.
And you named her after your favorite video game.
Yeah, pretty much. Though my favorite's actually Super Metroid, but I think the name Samus is kind of stupid. So, for a real person, it's not really my pick. So, Zelda it is. But yeah, we got through the line. It took a while. Like, it was 1 o'clock before we actually got the damn thing got out. They could have handled that better for sure, considering I had a pre-order and I didn't really technically need to wait. My order was sitting ready to go. But yeah, we got it, and the Pro controllers were long gone by the time we got up to the registers. When I was just inside the doorway, because they had the line running all the way outside. When I got inside the doorway, I could see the table where they had all the accessories set up, and I saw the Pro controller, and I was like, well, man, if I still had $70 to spare, I could grab one. And by the time I got close enough to grab one, they were long gone. They had been gone for like 10-15 minutes. It's like, well, there goes that idea.
So, in regards to the Pro controller, though, obviously you played for several hours with the Joy-Con grip.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel you need a Pro Controller right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
I do, but if you're using the Joy-Con grip, you're fine. It's the only reason I think that you do need a Pro Controller is for 2D games.
Okay.
Now, my game selection, and I don't think you're gonna be able to see this very well. I'll try to show some, because obviously I got like Zelda. I got Super Bomberman. It's okay. Feels kind of like a budget title, like everybody says. I got 1-2 Switch. Haven't played 1-2 Switch because immediately upon booting, it asks you to connect player 2's controller, and it tells player 2 to stand over here, player 1 to stand over here. And well, I'm one guy. I can't split myself into two yet, so I did not play that yet. Once I figure out that whole atom splitting thing, and maybe I can divide myself into two people, maybe I'll give it a shot then. But or maybe when my wife comes home, that might be easier. But
or when your daughter gets older.
Yeah, yeah, yep. She's gonna be wearing that strap around her wrist. That's for damn sure.
You don't want to be messing with your TV.
Well, I mean, if it gives me a reason to get a better TV, then maybe it's okay. Anyway, I did get 2 downloadable games also. Got Shovel Knight Treasure Trove, which is like the three pieces of DLC on top of the game.
Okay.
It's $25 on the eShop. And
Are they going to have that as physical media?
I imagine they will, since they have had Shovel Knight released physically everywhere else. But
Okay.
Yacht Club Games is really cool in that whatever version you have, they're giving you those extra pieces of DLC for like free. So
Nice.
yeah, like I got it on Wii U on disc and digital. So even if I only had it on disc, though, I could pop it in and I still have DLC. But there is a timed exclusive on Switch, so that's awesome on their part. Though I don't think it's going to be very long. I have a feeling it'll be a couple months maybe. And then I got Fast RMX, or Fast Remix.
I'm excited for that one.
I needed something else with some like graphics. Bomberman is a fine looking game, but it's not like system pushing by a long shot. So I needed something else with graphics to push it so I could see how it is. And more specifically, I want to see how it compared to the Wii U game. As far as I can tell, I don't want to say it's a sequel to Fast Racing Neo, but it's almost like imagine Fast Racing Neo got like a huge DLC pack that basically doubled the size of the game, with all new tracks, all new racers, all this stuff. And that's kind of what it feels like. I can't guarantee that the vehicles themselves are different, but the tracks certainly felt different. I did the first cup only so far. I don't remember any of those tracks. So if they're in the original game, I somehow have missed them. And I've done most of the cups on the first game. So I don't know. It seems like a new game, and I like it. It runs smooth as butter, looks gorgeous.
Probably 60 frames.
It is 60 frames per second. They claim even in 4-player split screen, still 1080p 60 frames per second. Like,
wow.
Holy crap! Considering the game ran at, I think it ran at 30 frames at 1080p on the Wii U.
On the Wii U, yeah.
Which is it still look gorgeous, but I don't know. It's a technical feat for sure, and it looks great. They did get the guy that did the announcer voice from F-Zero GX. They got him for this one, for RMX. It's awesome. It's like I'm playing F-Zero. It's freaking sweet. So you can definitely tell it's that guy. I don't know who he is or anything, but I know that voice. So really cool. Shovel Knight. Getting to the controllers. I did bring my system over to kind of show for scale. You might be able to see. You can see a reflection of yourself. How about that?
Hey!
So Okay. There's a complaint I want to express on the back side here. It has these two little buttons that release the Joy-Cons. And at the top is where the power button is. Now, there was a few times where I went to push the buttons and pull the Joy-Cons off. I'm not going to do it right now because I'll probably drop the Switch. But I would push down on the power button on accident, trying to pull the Joy-Cons off the system. Yeah, when you're sitting there playing for a couple hours and you're like, shit, I don't remember if I saved. That's scary. But it has an auto resume. So as soon as you turn it on, you can double tap the A button and you're back in.
That doesn't actually shut it off then. It's more...
Goes into sleep mode.
Sleep mode, yeah.
Yep. That's...
Like an iPad.
Yeah, or like the PlayStation 4 or Xbox One. That's...
Okay.
Like,
yeah.
It goes right into standby, basically. Like, I left my Switch docked all day, or all night, and then when I picked it up, first thing it does is light up and lets you double tap A to continue where you left off.
Nice.
So it jumps right back into the game as long as it's inserted. Or I guess if it's downloadable, it wouldn't matter. But it's cool. Like I had not heard a single thing about that, and I kind of thought I would, before it launched. But yeah, it was really awesome. It just jumped right back in, even though
I've definitely read some reviews, and they didn't say anything about that in the reviews I read. So that's pretty cool.
It is. Now, Joy-Con grip. This guy here, plastic shell. Like, it has some weight to it. I think it's weighted for ergonomics, but there's nothing to it. It's like it's an empty shell.
Now, I did see they have one for charging.
They do.
Which I actually thought. I mean, since you can't really get a Switch right now, I figured, maybe I'll, over time, I'll buy some accessories like the charging grip. And, I don't know if it's a micro SD, right?
Yes.
I think I have a 64 gig card right now I could probably use.
I'll tell you right now, like, as it stands, at least today, the day after launch, SD cards really aren't necessary, like, whatsoever. There's only...
Well, I'm not really planning on buying digital. I mean, if that racing game is only digital, I'll probably get that. But if it's available on physical, that's how I'll buy it.
Yeah.
Although, from what I've seen, those game cases to me are a waste of space.
They are. Like, it was funny when I opened my first game. I'll actually open one up for you guys. It's like, ding.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Seriously.
However, like, speaking from a business standpoint, you got to have something on the shelf. And if it's like a tiny square, just a little tiny thing, you're not going to have that in a shelf. They're going to throw that in some little bin in a store.
What I'm getting at is at least the PlayStation Vita's cases, they're smaller.
They could have made these smaller for sure.
Yeah, I mean, they could have made it at least... I don't want to say like the 3DS case, because then you might get it confused, but, definitely smaller. Or at least put a book in there.
Yeah, the interesting thing is, like, they were probably thinking of, like, shelf presence when they did it. Like, they had to have been. Yeah. Because, like, 3DS, that's a valid argument, because those cases are small squares, and they definitely have shelf presence. These are, like, literally, like, PSP cases.
Yeah, pretty damn close.
Except for the PSP had UMDs taking up the space. So...
what do I got? Let me see here. I got... Whoops. There goes Super Famicom. So here's the PSP case.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. But see, like, all these is kind of the same idea. Here's your UMD, and that's it. But I do believe most of these games came with booklets, so...
And that is something that's omitted in at least the games I have. Is the
where's the books?
Manuals. But to be fair, most games don't come with a book anymore.
Yeah, they're like, oh, the
So
manual's on the game. You can just go in the help menu. Well,
yeah,
that's what if you can't get to it? You don't know where the help menu is, or something stupid like that. You want the book so that you.
yeah, that's
I don't know.
certainly a thing. Um,
As a collector, you kind of want the books. A lot of times, they had the really good artwork in there,
oh yeah,
or Nintendo used to have the tips hotline,
right.
but
I don't know.
whatever. I don't care.
It's the way
The
things are
cases will
going.
still look good on my shelf. So
Yeah, and honestly, having both versions of Zelda, I think the Wii U, the case just looks so much better. And I don't know if it's because the blue color scheme of the cases and the Wii U logo, or if it's because of the size being bigger.
now
But
let me ask you this with Zelda, because I had read about it, but I can't remember. There's an installation size on the Wii U, right? Like you need a certain amount of space.
no,
You just
not
you
unless you
don't.
download it.
Okay.
Everything loads up off the disc or off the game card.
Well,
So
I don't mean from the Switch, because I know you just
no,
plop
there's
the card in. And I was just the Wii U. I thought actually had
oh
installation.
with that it's not. As far as I can tell, it's not actually an installation.
Okay.
So Zelda on Wii U, it's kind of weird because it shows that it's downloading updates. The first one took a while, and then the next two, yes, two, they went pretty quick for the most part. It was weird though that there's 3 updates, so maybe it installs, maybe it doesn't. I couldn't say because it says downloading update every time.
Mm.
So it's hard to say. I will try to investigate that in the system storage settings. Maybe I'll see something there. But otherwise it runs exactly the same. Loading is actually pretty much on par with the Switch version, which is surprising. It does take longer to actually get started than the Switch version. So
And that's expected, being that it's a
optical
disc.
media, yeah. And having more updates is weird. One thing I am curious about, because the Switch version obviously had an update too, a day one update. I assume it's just enabling it to play, because it didn't take long, not on the Switch anyway. But I'm curious as to whether or not that update went to the system or if it went to the game.
From what I've read, all updates and DLC will be stored on the Switch's internal memory, which to me is kind of poopy,
Mm,
because those game cards should have additional storage that you could be putting those updates on,
mm-hmm.
and to me that would just be smarter. But I mean, it would eliminate the need for having so much extra storage.
Right.
Like we had talked previously, that game cards, I mean, being that it is solid state, it's fast. I mean, I don't know. I just think it would be better, because then later on, if let's say you sell it or whatever, trade the game in, which I don't advise doing.
No.
But then all those updates are there, and whoever would buy it or borrow it or whatever, they're not going to have to sit there and download.
Right. On the other hand, if developers would just start releasing finished products, we wouldn't have this problem.
I agree.
So, and in
I agree
Nintendo's
100%.
case, I don't think you're gonna have to worry about it so much with their games. DLC, yeah, but updates that make the game functional, I don't think they're ever gonna have an Assassin's Creed Unity situation. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that sucks for any of us who own Unity on disc. Like, I got it with my PlayStation 4, so yeah, I have it. But
Yeah, but I keep that game installed, and I have all the updates installed on there. That's the only way you're going to be safe in the future.
yeah, So there's a number of things. Since we were just talking about downloading updates, the Switch is really fast with that stuff. Like, I was a little worried that it didn't have an Ethernet port because I pretty much rely on Ethernet for all of the other systems because they're so damn slow.
But I did see that Nintendo has an official adapter that plugs into that USB-C for Ethernet. So you might want to look into getting that.
I'm not going to, actually, because it's way faster. Like, it's fast, plenty fast, as it is. It does have wireless AC, so I actually connected it to my 5 gigahertz band on my network, and it just flew. Like,
well, that's cool.
It's awesome. The other two systems cannot say the same thing. Now, in the case of the Xbox One S, it may be technically capable, but I think at this point anyway, due to the fact that the stuff being downloaded on the Switch versus what downloads on the Xbox One, there's a huge size difference.
Yeah.
So
probably like the Switch might have maybe up to 5 gigs or something here and there, whereas the Xbox and PS4 are always like 10, 15, 20 gigs.
Yeah, or more.
It's like you might as well just download the entire game at that point.
Yeah. So that was one thing I noticed right out of the gate, really fast. The Wii U has wireless N, which is still pretty decent compared to earlier, but boy, you could tell with that first update, like damn, it's taking forever. I felt like it was like a 10-15 minute wait. It's probably more like 4 or 5, but still, you know.
Well, with that being said, I think I might, when I pick up Zelda, I'm gonna have to buy their USB to Ethernet adapter because I don't know.
Wireless N, right?
I do, but everything else is gigabit Ethernet. And as long as that's what, I don't know. I actually know what the Wii U's Ethernet port that you can purchase, what speed it would be, but it's probably still faster than the wireless N.
I don't know. I think I still stand by that the Wii U's wireless is far, far faster than the other two. Until they
I have noticed that
AC.
at least like the Xbox One is like a turtle, but I have it. I actually I don't use the wireless for that purpose.
Original Xbox One.
Yeah, and I have that connected through the gigabit Ethernet, and then my PS4 same way. But I've used wireless on both in the past, like when I'd move it into the other room to hook up to the projector. And the wireless, it's awful.
Yeah.
And it could be my apartment, a lot of interference, whatever. But wired, I'm a firm believer that wired internet is always going to be better.
Yeah, well, it will be. But like I know with my PS4, when I switch stuff in my living room around, I went to play Final Fantasy 15, and that update, it was just some miscellaneous update. It wasn't like the first time running it or anything. It took forever, and I was like, yeah, fuck this. I got an old router out and set it up as a switch box for everything else to be wired into and then sent to my modem. Because that wireless is just too dang slow. So
yeah, I
wasn't having none of that. But with the case of the Switch, it's not an issue. Like, it's plenty fast, and so far.
Well, that's good.
No
that's good.
Yeah, they did not skimp on that.
So I haven't had the chance yet to play with one. I'm hoping if I go to Best Buy later that they'll have a demo unit or something. They may not.
Yeah.
But like I went there. Actually, I was there yesterday to pick up Resident Evil, and or 2 days ago. Their Wii U demo unit was gone. And they had a Switch kiosk or whatever, not the kiosk, but they had a thing set up for the Switch, but at the time it wasn't released yet, so they didn't have anything there. But it was interesting because I'm like, this is interesting. They're all set up. Wii U's gone. They moved all the section where all the Wii U things and the Amiibos and everything all moved. It's like they're ready, but I want to try the Switch. They should at least have a demo unit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering if they will.
I have no idea. I don't know how they would do it, to be honest with you, because 1-2 Switch doesn't even like use the TV screen.
They wouldn't demo that game. Just demo Zelda. I mean,
no, you can't. You can't demo Zelda. You need to sit for at least an hour to even get the idea, and even then, it's debatable.
I guess there's not enough games really to demo right now, but I hope they get some kind of kiosk going by Christmas time.
Oh, I'm sure.
Because there'll be a lot of games by then. A lot of people, including myself, probably going to wait till around then. So, I mean, right now, I'm going to focus pretty much on Wii U games right now because they're going to drop in price like big time, I think.
You're a little late.
Maybe not Nintendo's, but
you're a little late to that party, man. They're going to go up now because the Switch is out. They're going to go up because now it's going to be hard to come by. That deadline was yesterday. So get on it while they're still low is what I would say, because there's a lot of games, big games you can get for $10-15, and that's what I'm probably going to do. So
you're saying as far as wait, what's going up? The Switch or the Wii U games?
Wii U will. I'm not saying in your local store necessarily, but maybe
like on eBay,
Amazon too. Because up until now, Wii U stuff has been the stuff that people are trying to get rid of, get out of their warehouse. That's not going to be the case anymore, because Switch is going to slowly take over that inventory spot, and then you're going to have collectors starting to buy stuff for the Wii U. And people are going to like immediately see this opportunity, jack the prices way up, and then, hey, this is ultra rare Watch Dogs on Wii U. It's only $70. And it's like, it's going to happen. And there's a couple games I'm going to snag in the near future for the Wii U, just so I pretty much round out my collection. But like, I'm not going 100% because that's so stupid. There's too many stupid games on there. But I want the ones that are notable. Like Watch Dogs. In 10 years, people are going to be like, Watch Dogs was on the Wii U? That's the conversation I want to have.
There's a lot of games, though, for the Wii U.
Yeah.
Like, I'm amazed they're on there and they look so good, but...
Such a good system, damn it. Anyway, you had a concern prior to the launch that we had discussed. It had to do with this little guy.
Yeah.
All right.
How's it? Okay.
So
how's it feel?
This is me holding it. I can't really show how I'm holding it too much here. Kind of see. First off, I'll say it's super light, which helps a lot. Like, you were concerned about it being cramped. Now, my concern when even though I wasn't as concerned as you were, was that the weight of it would cause me to, I don't know, like my hands to cramp up from just trying to hold it up. Over time, being a smaller...
Some fatigue.
Yes, and that is not an issue. Like, it's super, super, super light. It's almost amazing that they have this fancy new rumble technology in there at all, because it's very light. So in that respect, it's fine. The buttons are all clicky, and the analog stick works really well. It's kind of reminiscent of the PS4's analog stick. But my issue comes, as I said before, with this here, with it being so close. Now, this is the better of the two, because the analog stick is closer to the edge. Okay? Now, I played Shovel Knight like this a bit. It works, okay? I'll say that, it works, but you will clash thumbs. Like, you will hit thumbs when you try to use what would be, this button, whatever the hell it'd be, depending on your system. You will hit thumbs, and that was annoying. Luckily, in Shovel Knight's case, you can use the bottom two instead of these two. Though I definitely prefer these two because it's more like Super Nintendo in that sense. But these two work just fine. Kind of plays like NES, and then you don't hit your thumbs together at all. That was the main issue I had. One other downside to get out of the way is this guy. Okay? This is the Joy-Con strap. Has the strap attached to it when you take it out of the box. And I'll try to show. I know I have it backwards, but I kind of have to. Slide it on. Okay? Now, there's a key feature here that you cannot overlook when using this thing, because it does help with the ergonomics quite a bit. You can kind of see it adds actual buttons up top for L and R. It's hard to tell, but it does help with the feel, the fullness in your hand. However, you can kind of see this white tab here. You have to unlock that first before this will slide on, and then lock it after it is on. Now, by default, it was locked. So I was like trying to figure out how the fuck do you get this on? Like it would not slide on, and it's like after I noticed it said lock. It's like, okay, nothing told me this. Nothing. Like there's no on-screen cues. I could have looked in the instruction book, I guess, but why the hell would I do that?
Funny how we don't care about the instruction books for the hardware, but we want them in the games.
Yeah. Well, you know, there's certain things you expect there to be like an on-screen cue, you know, to tell you that, hey, this is how this works, and this is how this works, and all this stuff. So that's really one of my very few gripes. Now, as far as I got a few neutral things about the system. So there was a day one update that enabled the eShop and the online features. I've not been able to play online yet. I'm hoping to try that today with Bomberman, maybe. I don't. Maybe Fast Racing RMX or Fast RMX or whatever has online. But I don't think I have anything else that does. So
Bomberman would probably be pretty fun online, though.
Yeah, exactly. I do have one complaint about that. It's kind of somewhat isometric in its view. So, like, down isn't quite down. You have to, like, down and to the left is down. You know, like isometric games would play.
Yeah.
It messes me up. I died a few times because down isn't down and up isn't up. Like, that's Konami for you. They got their damn money.
Hey, at least they're kind of making games other than pachinko machines.
Yeah, we'll see how long that lasts. So anyway, eShop. Holy shit, is it bare? Like, I knew there wasn't going to be a lot of games. I
knew it was going to be.
Well, I did. I knew that. But here's the thing, is there's less to see on there than there was on the Wii U when it launched. There's, like, nothing there. And I'm not talking about just stuff to shop for. I'm talking about, like, the design. I was used to the Wii U where you'd launch into the eShop and, like, some music would play and it looked like a place to check out. And this is, like, super basic. Like, super basic. A lot of people are praising the whole new HUD design and eShop for being more adult-like or something. I don't know where the hell they get that from, but it's just it works, I suppose. I didn't have any problems downloading the games or linking my Nintendo my Nintendo account, or transferring funds from the Wii U that I didn't have. So I did all that just fine. But I don't know. Super basic. I know it's going to change in the future, so it's not really a gripe. It's just like a weird thing.
Now, aren't they doing a paid online service
in the fall?
So right now you can play online for free right now?
Yeah, it's free until the fall. That's when the service launches.
Okay.
So
Well, take advantage of it because I'm sure you're not going to pay for it.
maybe. I know.
I see how it is. Nintendo fanboy.
Yeah, well, we'll see. If they make an offer that's actually good and actually does something that I find of value, then yeah, I will. Xbox Live and PSN don't do that from my standpoint. So when I can do all those things on my PC for free, it's just more incentive to play on PC instead.
I don't know. I like the fact that you get free games every month, and you pay $60 a year, and you get all those. Well, at least with Microsoft, you get to keep those games. You know, and you're getting. God, there's a lot. Some of them are duds, I'll admit, but there's a lot that are actually pretty good. And Sony's way of doing it is similar, except if you cancel your account, you don't get to play the games anymore. But at least they're there.
Here's the thing for me is like, sure, they're giving you these free games every month, but on PC, games are so much cheaper that you can buy mass quantities for very little, and you can spend less than you do on Xbox Live every year and get tens of times more games. Like way more games. Which is why I have such a huge collection. So it's like, I don't need to spend all that. I don't need to spend $60-$70 a year on Xbox Live when I can buy. If I spend $60 or $70 on PC, I will have just a shit ton more games than they're going to give me for free over Xbox Live. And I don't have to worry about storage. Like ever. Even though I have 3 terabytes at my disposal, I have way more at my disposal on PC because of the nature of the beast. So that's why I haven't done that. Of course, this is a Switch video, so it's probably not the topic for this video, but we can discuss that more later. So Nintendo is going to have one. I'm not completely sold on the fact that they're going to have Virtual Console, like free games you can play each month. Like, they're not to keep. They're just like, you can play them for the month.
Yeah, I don't.
Now, if the rumors are right and it ends up costing $20 or $30 a year, I think that's an okay trade-off then. And when you're talking SNES and NES games, which they are, those can be beaten in a day most of the time, minus like RPGs and stuff like that. They can be beaten quickly. So being able to play that game for a whole month, it's like, well, there's a good chance you won't need more than a month to play through it. It is kind of weird still, but... And it does say that you will get a discount if you want to buy the game. You'll get a discount on the game as being a paid member. So, you know, if it's an $8 Super Nintendo game, you might pay $6. So, as a member. So it's like, we'll see. I mean, that's all we can say about that. We'll see what happens. I don't know. We'll just have to see. There's nothing else to say on that topic. I did have a lot of pros to go over, so let me just take a look here. Okay, the grip. As I kind of already said, the grip is definitely my way to play.
Connect the Joy-Cons in there. I want to see how that works too.
Okay. It's easily my preferred way to play right now because it's so light and it feels nice. A lot of people have actually complained that the handle parts don't feel ergonomic. I totally disagree with that. I feel like they're just fantastic. Of course, the one's trying to connect, but you can kind of see. It's
Now, is that about the size of a Dreamcast controller?
See, I actually meant to take a picture for you. Maybe I'll get that done and send it your way. You can show it now. It's smaller than Dreamcast controller. So, it's quite a bit smaller.
What about comparing to the trusty GameCube?
I want to show you a different comparison. Something that more people today are going to probably be familiar with. Because it's surprising. Okay? Sorry for all the crinkling. I keep my controllers in a bag, so they don't get too dusty. So, this guy looks familiar.
Yeah,
So
that's
they're
not too bad.
yeah, they're held at the same distance here. So like they're pretty damn close to the same size. So that's a more accurate representation of probably what you've seen so far, because nobody's really compared the size of that thing, and I totally thought that it was going to be a Dreamcast sized controller, and it's not. It's smaller than that. Do want to point out the buttons on this thing? They're clearly like 3DS style buttons. They're small. All right, so another thing I want to point out, now that I have the Joy-Cons off, is the console itself. It's pretty nice. I gotta say, it looks pretty nice. The screen's really nice. It's an IPS panel instead of a TN panel like the Wii U gamepad.
So no ghosting or anything like that that you can see.
It's crystal clear. It's very nice. Very nice screen.
Now let me ask you this: if you didn't know that was 720p, would you know the difference?
No. No. Now my phone has a 1440p screen, and I am used to that. So certain things, even on my computer monitor, stand out, like text and stuff, because they have more jaggies, basically.
Yeah.
And but it's to be expected on anything less than 1440p when that's what I'm looking at all the time. But you're also not holding this thing as close as you might hold your phone. So, same thing with my computer monitor. I'm not like sitting right up on top of it or anything. And it looks nice. I gotta say, it's a lot lighter than I expected. I don't know what I was really expecting, but it is lighter. It's pretty much on par with a lot of the 7-inch tablets I've dealt with. But it's obviously a smaller screen. In the video that should be accompanying this, I do actually show the gamepad next to it, side-by-side comparison. The screen size is pretty much the same. Like, it's almost identical. It might be identical, actually. So the size is about the same. Obviously, it's way thinner than the gamepad. It doesn't look like a Fisher-Price toy like the gamepad. But the gamepad also is way more ergonomic. I will say, and this might be blasphemy to some other Switch owners, but I haven't really played on this tablet that much. Like, it's been docked about 90% of the time I've had it, and I've been playing with the Joy-Con grip on the TV. I think that probably stems from the fact that I've never traditionally been a handheld gamer. So when I want to play a game, I'm used to sitting in front of the TV to play it.
Well, that, and you don't really do a whole lot of traveling and stuff like that, and
even when
your daughter's not really old enough yet to, let's say, go to the park and play with friends or something, and like, let's say you'd sit on a bench or something.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's good parenting, but to me, I would probably play it on the TV most of the time too, unless, like, I'm kind of getting tired, so I want to go to bed but not sleep yet. So then I would probably take it, in there and play for a while until I sleep. But
yeah, I can see in the future, like you're saying, like there may be uses going forward, and I do plan on getting a carry case for it and everything. So going forward, yeah, it will probably be more useful. As it stands, I don't know that I'm going to do it, and that's why one reason why I kind of want a Pro controller.
Yeah,
kind of, but the Joy-Con grip is just fine for the most part, aside from like Shovel Knight. And to be clear, though, Shovel Knight does play fine with it. It's just a different feeling than you're probably used to.
Now you could probably get used to it though, right?
Oh yeah, the buttons are super clicky. Like, they feel so good. It's weird because I've always loved Nintendo's controllers for the way they feel, and like these basically having face buttons on both sides is kind of weird at first. But like when I'm playing Zelda and it wants me to use the D-pad, it's like I I know where to go, and pressing down on it, like I know I pressed a button. Like it feels really clicky, and I know that sounds stupid, but it's not like take like a 360 controller. You hit the A button, it's kind of mushy. It doesn't like click when you press it. It kind of mushes in. And we've all adapted to that.
I'd say that's probably the same even for like the Xbox One. I mean, the only thing clicky on that is the D-pad, and then the PS4 controller. I guess mushy would be a good term, but I have the launch controller for PS4, so I don't know if their new one is clicky.
Yeah,
but
this is very clicky, and it's weird to me that a lot of people have made a big deal out of the fact that the sticks are clickable on this thing. It's like they were on the Wii U. What's the problem? Like, that's not new.
Why wouldn't you want it? I mean, that's extra buttons.
That's the thing, is like the Wii U had it. So why are people making like news about it? They're like, hey, now it has fully clickable buttons on under the analog sticks. It's like, yeah, so did the Wii U. This isn't new.
Can you hear that?
Well, that's a button, guys.
Both of them. Oh man.
It's just funny. Like, it just goes to show how many people did not really spend time with the Wii U, unfortunately.
Okay, here's a quick question. On the Wii U, the A, B, and XY buttons, is the switch buttons spaced the same, or are they tighter together?
They are tighter together. Think of a 3DS. Okay?
That's probably not that bad then.
I
wouldn't think so.
If I had my Wii U Pro controller handy, I would show you, but it works out okay. Like, obviously, it worked out fine for 3DS owners. It does take a little getting used to when you're used to bigger face buttons. But having them closer together also works better when used as a D-pad on the opposite side. So,
which is probably why they went that route.
That and portability, I'm sure. I like the way the system looks, too. Like, it's very subtle. So, when somebody comes over that's not a gamer and see it, they're not going to immediately think it's a video game, necessarily. They might
Unless you have your Joy-Cons, clicked in there.
Yeah. I love that it uses USB-C, because my phone does. So all my phone's chargers and cords are pretty much going to work just fine with it. You cannot play the Switch on your TV without the dock, though. Like, you have to use the dock.
Yeah, I've read that.
Yep, you can't go USB-C to HDMI or nothing like that. The dock, I didn't bring that over, but I can almost confirm that there's nothing in there that does anything that we thought it might before. Like, there's not really any room for any kind of cooling fans, or like, it has like a little slot where the exhaust would come out of the system itself. There's nothing in there. It's basically just a conduit to get everything onto your TV. So it does have uses USB-C type for the power adapter on the dock. And the reason I want to add that in here is I think the possibilities of using the Type-C adapter is the exciting part, because of the possibilities of what can be done using C-type. Like graphics amplifiers for laptops and stuff, they've used USB-C, and it can work. So it's entirely possible that they could release a module that goes in there inside the dock and, gives it more RAM or something. It's possible. I don't know that they will, but possible.
Well, just like I think it's possible that game cards could house additional RAM. If that game requires 4 gigs of extra RAM, here you go. It's right there. But I don't know. It being that it's so new, time will tell.
Mm-hmm.
I happen to believe, though, that if this thing, if they sell, let's say, 40 million units, in like 3 years, I guarantee you they're going to release a revision that uses, more powerful hardware.
Mm-hmm. I. It's funny. I'll see people post stuff about the Switch and it being underpowered and whatever. And it's like, I don't know. It's you can't put it in the same ballpark as like we were as the Xbox One, PS4. It really isn't. It really isn't. It's like it really is a portable. Those systems are not portable, not even a little bit. And
No, and I think I I think the LAN party is
yeah,
going to make a big comeback with this thing.
it could. It very well could. It's one of the reasons I got Bomberman. Just in case I end up with friends that have one locally, which I kind of doubt, but never know.
I'm hoping too that EA brings like Battlefield 1 or maybe the next installment, whatever that might be. And I don't really care too much for Call of Duty, but if that came out, all the major online multiplayer games, if they would
Yeah,
come out on the Switch, but also have local multiplayer there. I mean, because that could be so cool.
it could be.
I remember with the original Xbox, we were doing LAN parties, playing Halo and Halo
Yeah.
2 constantly, and then all of a sudden Halo 3 comes out, and then various other third-party games, and then LAN parties just kind of went.
Well, for me, that died about Halo 2 time because a lot of our friends actually started getting online with it.
Yeah.
Like, it was more towards the tail end, I think, right around the time 360 launched. But as soon as the 360 was out in the world, like LAN parties were dead, as far as I could tell.
Yeah. And for me, that sucks because that was a lot of fun. You were having the interaction with your friends
Yeah.
and drinking beer. You don't drink, but it was fun parties. And to me, when you're playing online, it's like, okay, I'm sitting in my chair staring at my TV. Sometimes I'll be
Right.
drinking, and it's like, but I'm by myself. That's not that fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is an interesting omission I noticed last night before I went to bed. There's like no shooters on the Switch. Like
There
none.
will be. There will be.
But it's weird to have a launch with no shooter. Like
Yeah, I think that like EA is testing the market with their crappy soccer game. Although that's not a launch title, is it?
nothing. No.
I mean, I don't know.
Coming out
None
this
of my
fall.
friends or anyone I know from previous jobs or whatever would even be interested in that game. So that's a terrible idea on their part.
Yeah. So I would like obviously I'd like a Battlefield or Call of Duty just to see how it is on the Switch.
I
But
think it'd be great.
But, like, I know, like, Nintendo's answer would be, oh, well, Splatoon comes out this summer. And it's like, yeah. I'm thinking something a little more traditional. Like, Splatoon is a shooter. There's no question about that. But it's not traditional by a long shot.
Yeah.
And I've been trying to think of, like, other types of shooters that could thrive on Switch rather than Call of Duty or Battlefield.
Well,
I would honestly take even like one of those modern combat games that are popular on mobile if they could do a proper Switch version of one of those, not just a port, but like a Switch version of it, and just make it their own. Maybe you'd have a chance to shine in the console space that way. I haven't played them because they're on my phone, and I'm not playing on my
yeah.
phone.
Now I've played was that Modern Combat?
That's what I was
Um,
talking about.
yeah, that game is okay on the phone, but trying to remember. They have, I don't know which one it is, but is on the Vita, and I actually think it might be the third one or something, and I think what are they on 6 now or something like that, but
yeah,
it works okay. It's not the greatest, but I think on the Switch with the bigger screen, especially more power, those AAA style shooters could work very well, especially being on the TV. Most people aren't going to play a shooter like that online when they're, let's say, on the train or something. So, but then again, you never know.
So, one game that came to mind, I was thinking about this morning, scrolling through my Facebook, and saw an ad for a game that you actually played recently and did a video on, and that was Ghost Recon.
Yeah.
I thought that might be kind of cool on the Switch for a lot of different reasons.
Yeah, I think it would work. I mean, obviously, any game that plays on the TV is going to work.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're talking mobile style, or not, let's not use the word mobile. We'll use portable, because mobile's more phones, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're talking portable, I really do think that Ghost Recon would work quite well, because when you're on the go, you're not necessarily going to play multiplayer, unless you're in the free internet or something. But the single player aspect, now I don't know if it's required to be online to play single player, which if it is, that kind of sucks. But with the open beta, you kind of have to log in.
Yeah.
So hopefully that's not going to be the case, but we'll see. That game I could see playing mobile, or what is it, the portable.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that game would work out well, and I think the Switch has enough power behind it to run that at 720p, no problem.
Mm-hmm. That could be the case. I know Ubisoft is launching like that snowboarding game Steep on there, and if they can run Steep on there, there must be something behind that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just kind of weird. There's no shooters. I am excited to see what comes down the line. Now, Rich from Review Tech did an interesting video the other day talking about how indies might be the saving grace for the Switch. And I'm glad he said it, because that's what I've been thinking. I ended up watching that Nindie Direct that Nintendo had. And it reminded me a lot of what they did with the Wii U in terms of indies. But man, like, a lot of that stuff looked really cool, really interesting. And like I've been saying, I think indies are the future of like console success.
Well, it's interesting too. I can't remember which developer it was. Damn, I wish I could. Anyway, they were talking about developing for the Switch. And they also said they're also developing their games for the Vita, because the architectures are actually quite similar, being on the ARM architecture, so being able to transfer stuff over is not going to be too difficult.
Well,
and
isn't Vita basically iPhone tech anyway?
Well, the GPU is a variant. It's custom for Sony, but I mean it's interesting because like the Vita has a quad core CPU and a quad core graphics chip. Memory wise though, it's was it 512 megs of RAM, and then I think it's 128 megs of video memory, which the Switch obviously trumps that by a lot. But and I think the Switch is unified memory, which would be good. But it's interesting because like right now, if you were to go solely on third-party support or even first-party support, the Vita's dead.
Yeah.
But if you look at the indies, there's shit coming out every single month, and there's a ton of it.
Constantly.
The Switch, from what I'm reading, will get essentially everything that the Vita's getting, the Switch will get, and it's going to play a lot better on that.
Yeah, and I did think about that when I came up with this idea, but I also thought about the fact that Nintendo did an entire direct just for those games, just for these indies that are coming out, and they said every week there will be a new indie game on Switch. Every week. And like they showed stuff coming out throughout the rest of the year, and it's just like if they take advantage of this, I feel like it could really disrupt the market a lot, because you have like Ubisoft and Activision and EA and stuff that are just gargantuan in size, and they spend all this crazy amount of money on their games, but how many actually sell really well? You know, that's why we have sequels to Call of Duty all the time, and Assassin's Creed, and you know, we have these annual franchises because that's the safe money. Whereas indies, they don't have the budget or the time necessarily to
be safe,
to do that, and they have to make use of what they can get their hands on. And if they can get their hands on a Switch with that Tegra processor, that's a very capable processor for them. Kind of like with the Vita, that's a very capable chipset, and it gets them into a market outside of like mobile or PC, which is traditionally the easy way for indies to go. And you know, I think that if Nintendo's like grabs that and says, "Hey, you've sold 5 million copies of your game. We're gonna put it in stores," or you sold 2 million even. We're gonna put it in a store. We're gonna advertise it. Like they do that, it's gonna create like a divide between what Microsoft and Sony have versus what Nintendo has, because Nintendo kind of stands alone anyway. But when you go, if you're the average Joe and you go into the game store and you're like, "Hey, you're Sony and Microsoft, there's a lot of the same games on those. Sure, I can get God of War here and Forza here, but you know, aside from the exclusives, they're the same." But then you have Switch, and it's all these games I never heard of that look cool, you know, that you don't hear of all the time in the same breath as like Call of Duty and Assassin's Creed. That's disruptive, in my opinion. And I think that would be a very wise way for them to go.
I think also, if Nintendo can get it in such a way where the indie games are also released on the game cards, you know, because there are games that release that are third or that are indie, you know, on their physical release on the PlayStation or the Xbox, but it's usually like in those compilation packs or whatever, and it's right. Like they're released 2 or 3 years later. I'd buy a lot of indie games if they were on physical medium. You know, like for the Switch, if they released on game card and they were, let's say, $25, to me that might be worth it.
Yeah, well, and this is something that's been hard for me to convey for some reason, because a lot of people just insist on looking at the Switch as a home console, and solely a home console. So when it can't do games that everybody knows, like Call of Duty or Assassin's Creed, everybody's been flipping their lid. But there's like a lot of stuff on. Look at the 3DS library next time you're at Walmart or Best Buy or wherever. There's so much there that you probably aren't familiar with, but sells very, very well and is very good. And I think that if Nintendo's able to focus in on those and broaden their appeal, which I think they can do because the Switch is much more capable than the 3DS, and it's a hybrid system, I think that's where they can shine, because those experiences take like I know you're not a big RPG guy, but Square released that game Bravely Default a couple of years ago on 3DS, and it was like this huge success as far as RPGs go. It was like groundbreaking as far as RPGs go. But like in the console space, who knows what that is? You know, if you're a 3DS
I've
player,
never heard of it.
that's just it.
Yeah.
But it's one of their bigger games on the system. Then take like Monster Hunter. So like that's been on consoles, but it's huge.
It's huge on the 3DS.
Yeah, and actually Vita, I think, over in Japan. And it's like, if you can broaden that appeal, that's almost a Dark Souls style game with some color. And yeah, that was a stab at Dark Souls. And but if you can broaden that appeal, then it's like that's another game the other systems don't really have that is awesome. Trying to think of there's, I guess, another Square game called The World Ends With You. If you just look at that game, it looks like something like Jet Grind Radio had a baby with some RPG. Like, because it's cell shaded or hand drawn, maybe. I don't know if it's even 3D or if it's a 2D game or what. But that was another critically acclaimed game that sold very, very well. And it's like, I never even played it because it's on portable. And there's just all kinds of those kinds of games on portables that never find their way to console. And if they can broaden that appeal,
this is where that's gonna change everything, I think.
Yeah, well, like Xbox doesn't have Bravely Default, you know, and PlayStation doesn't have The World Ends With You, and yet those are huge sellers on the 3DS. So going forward, that could really, really, really disrupt everything.
Well, you know, the analysts are saying 5 million Switch units will be sold by the end of the year if Nintendo can keep up with the orders. And that's sold, not shipped.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, let's face the facts. This system's going to be a lot like the Wii when it first come out. They couldn't keep it on the shelf.
Yeah.
I truly think that that's how this will be, at least for a while. And from what I've heard, a friend of mine also went to the midnight launch, and he told me not a single kid in line. It's all adults.
Mm-hmm. I can say the same thing, actually.
All excited for the system. They're buying it for themselves. And to me, if you look at the system, it doesn't look... It's not something you would buy for your kid. Because, it's probably, in some cases, a little bit more delicate than, say, the 3DS is.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I feel like it is. I actually ordered a screen protector for the thing, whereas I never did on the Wii U.
I would get one for this, too. On my Instagram, someone posted a shot. They already scratched their screen. It's like, how the hell do you scratch your screen? You had it for not even a day.
Who knows? People shatter their iPhones all the time, and they just walk out of the store and shatter it. It's like,
oh, shit. And then they'll go back. Can I exchange it? No, I think definitely get a screen protector of some kind.
It's ordered.
Unless you're going to be the gamer that it's going to stay by your TV, which, you know, there are some that's how it'll be. But if you're going to be like me, and when you travel and you're on the airplane or whatever, you're going to use it. So just have it protected a little bit.
But I think it's interesting because this could go a lot of ways. I think 5 million for the first year is super conservative because
it depends on how quickly they are manufactured. I personally think they could sell 10 million that first year if they can pump them out.
Well, here's the thing. They're shipping 2 million in March alone. So this month, they're shipping 2 million. And you know that based on the sellout right now...
Well, look at this. You got 10 months, right?
Yeah.
If they're able to ship 2 million a month, that's a lot.
Yeah, that's crazy, and I don't know that they can keep up that kind of...
And is that 2 million worldwide or 2 million to the States?
To my I believe it's worldwide, but still 2 million. console base for 1 month.
If they could sell 20 million units just this year, and that's only 10 months.
Right. That's colossal right there.
It's so big that Microsoft is shitting bricks if that were to happen.
Yeah. That's
I mean,
coming in on
Sony's
them.
a bit far ahead. Sony's a bit far ahead right now, but I think in some cases, most people who have or who wanted whatever system, they already have it. So this one's new and does a lot more.
A lot of different things. I don't know. Like, based on the hype I'm seeing in just comments from different groups that I'm part of on Facebook, a lot of people are trying to get a Switch right now because of the hype and can't find one.
They're on eBay for like $800.
Yeah. So,
in fact, I tried to buy one, yesterday at the local Walmart here, but they only had 3 available, and they sold them like at midnight. So, but yeah, I was gonna be one of those douches that went to buy to sell.
Asshole.
I mean, when you need money, man, you're gonna do what you can do. So,
well, it's interesting because when I see people trying to get it and they can't find one, that tells you a lot. And I think a lot of the paranoia about them not making enough units stems from the NES Classic problem.
Yeah, but the thing too with that Classic, I think that was done on purpose.
Yeah, I do too, and I've actually shared this with people I work with, because there's that rumor that's been discontinued. And the thing is like, if they discontinued it, what would be the most logical reasoning? So that they could turn around and sell it again later, like next Christmas, for example. Because
new games.
Because it was a hot item, and if they continued to sell it, that fire would burn hot, but by Christmas, it'd be fizzled out.
But see, the other thing too is if they keep it going, then it's competing with the Switch, and they don't want that.
And that's another thing. I was telling people at work that too. I was like, they're more than likely diverting all their resources towards the Switch because that is their future. That is their big money maker. Whereas the Classic is like a side product. It's a diversion. And yes, it's a successful.
That was a quick buck maker.
Pretty much. And
they needed money for the holiday season because the Wii U wasn't going to do it, and the 3DS, as much as it is kind of helping, they just didn't have enough to get people to.
Well, they had Pokemon.
Well,
so, I mean,
yeah,
3DS was fine.
The 3DS was going for $100 for that time frame, but you're probably more than likely going to spend $150 or $60 than you would, spending a lot more. So that's why they had the 3DS going with all their games or Pokemon. And then, oh, look, we got this NES Mini here, or Classic. But now that the Switch is here, they're not going to...
No.
They're not going to... They may continue to ship them, but they're not going to tell you.
No. And
they won't advertise it.
It is my belief that they're done shipping them until holiday. I have a feeling it's going to be next holiday. Hey, Classic's back. Get yours while you can. Limited supply. And just so they can create that rush every holiday to get people excited about the brand. And I have no doubt in my mind that the NES Classic was a marketing ploy to get people excited about Nintendo again, so that when the Switch launched, Nintendo would be fresh on people's mind and they'd be thinking about how great Nintendo was and all this. And that would probably explain why there were so many adults in line and no kids.
I think honestly, it worked.
I think it did too, definitely. It's funny because I got my Classic. I've played it once for about 10 minutes. It just sits.
I don't have one. I could never find one here, so.
Yeah, well, working at the store helps.
My wife works at the store.
Well, she needs to get her ass back to receiving and snag one as soon as it comes off the truck.
Well, she does have a friend out there, and it's funny because like yesterday I dropped her off at work, and I said I'm gonna go inside with you. I want to see if they have a Switch, just by chance. Of course they didn't, and then I was like, well, I'll buy Zelda for the Wii U. Oh, nope, that's gone too.
Man, I can't believe it.
So yeah, I'm surprised. They probably had like two or three copies or whatever, but
Well, my store got like 10 copies of the Wii U version of Zelda, and we had no less than 19 copies of the Switch version, despite
damn,
only getting 16 Switches.
weird.
9 of those Switches were pre-ordered, and the rest were for the shelf, but they were going to be gone because before I left work that day, a line was forming, and that was before 8 o'clock. It's like 7:30,
Well,
so it was.
so anyway, the one employee said, if you would have told me, I would have told you what time to be here. Because I only had 3 units available.
Mm-hmm. I'm not
The
surprised.
area we're at is not, the population's not very big, so definitely didn't have that many. If they would have got 16 of them, I think there probably would have been at
Well,
least one grab.
I can almost guarantee the area that I work in is probably much, 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 much smaller than where you are.
We
Cause
have we have like 50,000 people here,
yeah, not even.
but there's
I
also
might
like
maybe a tenth of
there's
that.
4 Walmarts here. 4 Walmarts. There's like 3 Targets.
See,
Uh,
that's
I mean,
you're already like
it's
way, way,
it's
way
spread
bigger.
out. It's so spread out.
Where I work, we it might have maybe 5,000 people total. Maybe. It's not a big town by a long shot, and yeah, only one big box store. So that's it. Like that and fast food is big business.
Ooh,
So
fast food.
yeah, and specialty shops. So
Mm.
it's just not big, but somehow we had a lot of units given for
They
the
must have had a
size.
lot of pre-orders too.
Well, Best Buy, well, we had 9 pre-orders, but the Best Buy that I got my system from, like when I got into the doors and I could see their stock, like holy shit, there had to have been like at least 50 that I could see. It was insane. It's like I walked into a Switch warehouse. There were so many of
That's
them.
interesting because when I was in college, living in Orlando, I waited in line for the Wii, and there were like probably 180 people in line.
Gosh.
I was number like 81 or 82. I'd have to look at the box, at the numbers on there. When I got inside, I swear to God, man, they had a mountain of Wii's. And, here I'm already 80 in line, went through, so they already took a big dent in there. And the manager had said, the night previous, if you get more than 205 people in line, shoo them away. We only have 205 units. 205. So for I'm wondering like the areas with all these people, if they're getting, like, let's say the same area, maybe they had 205 Switch units at that Best Buy.
Maybe. It's hard to say. It's all by volume, more than likely. So it's interesting, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see what happens going forward with the Switch if it continues to sell like hotcakes.
Well,
Because
we're gonna have to wait till the next shipment to see how that goes. You know,
yeah, well, their investor meeting is next month,
well, their
so
stock's already gone up.
I know it's like
So
funny. It's funny how like it starts selling like crazy, and investors are like, "Oh, hey, maybe this is okay," but when they
yeah.
revealed it, their stock went down. Like,
Well, that usually happens when you sell, because I think their stock went up first, and some people probably decided to sell. But anyway, I think we're gonna call it for now, and we'll get back to all things video games with our next podcast.